Hello. So this is pretty much just a recap of all the different things I've done just to be able to find community and eventually build community in Chicago. So let's try to start from day one. So I'd say day one, it was more so it goes back to like January 31st was me crashing at my friend's place because I had a February 1st move in and was not looking forward to crashing wherever the day before I had to like officially move in. So that was pretty nice just to like, be able to catch up with him. But from there, I did a lot of scavenging beforehand in terms of different communities to join and be a part of. And that just ended up me going down different rabbit holes for different interests and hobbies that I pretty much, as a result, just like left no stone unturned in terms of just trying to see which parts of my identity from previous I could lean into, whether it's more running, whether it's comedy, whether it's whichever hobby that I ended up doing a deep dive into, and just pretty much searching like the key terms of like hobby Chicago on like a TikTok or a YouTube or Google or a search engine or whichever. And it provided a lot. I pretty much started off joining communities through like the November Project, which that's more like a fitness community, and pretty much that's just like more like a national one within the states. And if I forget if it's international, but I want to say it's US within major metropolitan cities where you just get up at very early mornings and just do aerobic intensity fitness exercises. I joined that alongside a lot of different running groups and different workouts and fitness ones all together. And from there, I think I just tried doing a bunch of different things that I would have otherwise done with other people in terms of, say, you explore just like a food festival alone, or you just check out like a bookstore alone, or different stuff at least. And just not be very self-conscious about that. Just know that like you're still settling in and moving into a new city as a whole. From there, trying to think from there what really happened. I think from there, what really changed for me in terms of trajectory was I tried to organize stuff for myself in terms of actually organizing events. I saw that I had joined a Facebook group for more of an identity group that I was a part of, more being like ACE in particular. I don't really speak to it, but I or am a part of that community and have been able to host different events for the queer community as a whole, and I'm really grateful for that opportunity and still do to this day at semi-intervals here and there. But that got me into a bunch more just organizing stuff in terms of, when I say organizing, I don't mean like grassroots organizing. I've been a part of that in the past, but I mean more so like organizing, say, like fun events such as just like trying out new restaurants, going to an arcade, picnics, conventions, or more so just that other bucket. And it's been really rewarding, and I've been able to say I've made a bunch of friends from that, and being able to just say like, oh, we just took this risk into creating a community through that, and being able to say that made friendships, and being able to say that I created a space where other people were able to make friendships, and being able to create the space that I would have eventually wanted to move or move to a new city and be a part of. That's not to say that these things didn't exist prior, but it's more so that for, I guess my context is, you can tell by like context clues of like all the like anime or like board game stuff. It's heavily more like pop culture related for me, where I created more just like an anime group in the city, and I figured like, oh, I'm sure there's a bunch of like nerdy, quirky people who have similar interests in the city, and why not just create a space for them all together? Not that they hadn't existed before, but just like I just want to find a space for me to do this, and why not just create something from scratch? Try and think from there. I think from there it was just like the first one was a bit more so like you'd go to a local ramen spot and talk about different shows you were watching, different mangas you were reading, in addition to different stuff. And pretty much for first one, it was pretty well attended with, I'd say, 12 out of 12 seats being filled in terms of things. It was either 12 or 16. I do not recall quite. But for that, it was a pretty successful one. They went to like a sake bar afterwards. That was pretty enjoyable. But I think I have been scheduling a lot since in terms of just, I think just similarly leaving no stone unturned in terms of I grew that group to a good amount where it's like we have different recurring stuff, whether it's like go to arcades or book club or different type initiatives like a seasonal picnic or different type other ones. Like the one I'm most proud of would be like every quarter we do one where it's like a sampler where you see like 10 different shows of the season and highlight just like different animes that are in the loop for the season and being able to spotlight those. But that's enough rambling about that. I think you want like the meat and bones of this in terms of like what I did, how I got there, and stuff like that. That's not to like discredit like everything I've done since, but it's more so that that was a lot of just like talking through the journey and bits and pieces. But yeah, I'd say like I started pretty broadly in terms of just like what are all these different hobbies I have, and whether it's just like jotting them down on a piece of paper or just like just searching them up on the internet, I guess. You just search like Eventbrite, Meetup, and then you query or search or whatever, just like all these interests of yours. Like, oh, I like, I don't know, say like bowling, or like I like skating or cycling or different stuff. You'll be able to find like small pockets of community in terms of just other people with these similar vested interests. And if not, I'd search on say like social media and different things, and people will get connected through a lens like that. I know for like some people it wants them to do like TikTok for that, at least just be like do a short about you in terms of things and just talk about like, oh, this is me as a person, this is what I'm about, and stuff like that. I see that lens itself easily if you're more like eventually attractive, but I think I won't get into a tangent about that, as that's big common sense. But I think the takeaways from this has been just like spread broadly in terms of like different vested interests you've been able to do and stuff like that nature. Pretty much just like continue to show up in different ones and not just do it to like make friends all together, but just try to start as like acquaintances, and just like if you really vibe with people, just try to go from there in terms of saying like, oh, let's hang out or exchange contact or different things. And then I guess just like from there, it's just like, yeah, you have acquaintances that turn into friendships, and friendships that go into deeper ones from there, which is easier said than done when I talk about all these from a retrospective, because I threw like what feels like a million like darts on the wall, and it's, I would say, luck had a lot to do with this, as I would pan over to my wall over there, but it has just like 100 or so like meetup stickers that whether I attended or hosted altogether, and I'm proud of the journey that has come before me in terms of that. But I think it was a bunch of like trial and error in terms of seeing what worked, what didn't work, and all these different things altogether. I think like applicable stuff from here would be like try doing that for some hobbies you might be interested in, and sort of take it like a day by day sort of a thing, as not every event you go to will be a hit, and not every event that might quote unquote be a hit you'll get like people you vibe with and different stuff like that, and that's okay. it's alright, you're only human at the end of the day when you look at all of this. I'm trying to see how to not make this like a hodgepodge of different info, because I feel like I'm just regurgitating the same thing, just like be vested in your hobbies, go do your thing, when it's quite simply just not as black and white as that, because there is that whole loneliness epidemic that if you go back into the history of me, sometimes it's just like, yeah, when it gets bad, it gets bad. But that's why you just like keep, I'd say just like keep documenting for yourself just like what's working and what's not working for you in a social space. But also remember to keep connected in terms of just friends back at home or different people you might have grown up with and different things altogether. Because I'd say at the end of the day, though, they always ground me in terms of things, despite like new people I might have met or just like closer friends now I have due to more proximity sake. I'm trying to see like what are other ways to really break this down into, because I think a lot of it is more so like this repeated exposure thing where it's you won't quite have a similar one, similar say college or like a high school or different things. But I won't talk about like third space or whichever, because I think that's become a buzzword at this point that everybody sort of regurgitates. But it's just like being able to create one for myself and being able to like host fun different things has been what's worked for me. And I know that's not like everyone's thing where it's like can't just be like, oh, you should go host a bunch of stuff, be very extroverted, be very put yourself out there type, because that is not who I really am at times, because I have to like wear this out all of a sudden. But it's a persona I have to get persona. No, I'm gonna stop. But yeah, it's just like a persona I have to do all of a sudden and be comfortable with that over time. I think it comes over time at least, because it's required me to put more of an extrovert hat on but still be able to recharge in the different ways that I do. I don't want to really hold the audience viewing that much longer. I think it's just been saying just like trust in your hobbies, look into different hobby groups, and just like keep a good base of people at your side in terms of if they're not around you, just like message those back at home, but also don't be afraid to explore what's on out around you, whether it's more of like an online space or more just like the people around you in terms of different things. I think for me, I've just tried to not be as perpetually just like online or as career focused or as I think it's just like not fixating on just who I once was and just think of every day past that as just like a growing opportunity to try something new and do something new altogether. I think that has been enough rambles, because I feel like I've been going in circles of this point of saying like pursue your hobbies, find people with similar ones and different things. But I know that's not quite like black and white altogether, depending on like circumstance and different things, whether it's just like location or like proximity to people in addition to different things. But yeah, I think that's enough rambles about me for now. Yeah, thank you for watching if you've been listening to this point, but thank you for tuning in. And as always, don't forget to be awesome.